So, you finally got around to watching Top Gear's 2008 Vietnam special, and now you want to go ride a motorcycle in Vietnam. Well, let me tell you something, you are not alone. Yo, what is up guys? Today, we're going to be talking about riding a motorcycle in Vietnam on an Australian license. So this is a pretty specific, niche kind of topic, but hey, if any of you are considering riding motorbikes in Vietnam, then this is for you. I'm not going to waste anyone's time here. Simply put, there is no way to use your Australian riding license to hop on a motorcycle over in Vietnam. So I hope that answers the burning question on the forefront of your mind. What I'll do in this video is I'll talk a little bit about my experience, and then I'll get into some workarounds and what I ended up doing when I went over there. Oh, that load does not look very secure, so I'm going to increase my following distance ever so slightly. Oh, hello fellow motorcyclist with the 600RR. When you see amber or red on that sign, you are not in for a good time, unless you're on a motorbike. Alright, motorcycle privilege activated. How good is this, mate? So I, like most people, had seen Top Gear's Vietnam special, in which Richard, James and Jeremy bought some scooters down south and rode all the way up to the north. My good friend Nicholas, who I went and had a bowl of pho with the other night, ended up asking me whether I wanted to go. Anyway, I was excited because I now had a motorcycle license. I'm going to Vietnam. I can actually do this legally too. Now, when you go to another country, and especially when you're going to do something like riding a motorcycle, which is inherently quite risky, you want insurance. You want to be covered by insurance, and you also want to be covered by the law. You don't want to get into trouble abroad, because that could get messy real quick. And the prospect of going over there and doing this legally with my license was exciting. You know, travel insurance would cover me on a motorcycle. If cops pulled me over, I'd have no troubles. I'd just show them my international driving permit. All good, all good. So I stopped by my local RACV one day, and I informed the person I was speaking with that I was traveling to Vietnam, and asked them whether the international driving permit covers it. And she wasn't sure, but she was like, yeah, it probably will. And so based on that very reassuring answer, I went ahead and purchased the international driving permit. I went home and I noticed that there was a list of countries that this permit was recognized in, and Vietnam was nowhere to be found on it. So essentially my $54 went to waste based on that answer, but that inspired me to do a bit more research. And basically there are 3 conventions which govern international driving permits. There's the 1928 Paris Convention, the 1949 Geneva Convention, and the 1968 Vienna Convention. Now, countries like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, the UK, Canada are all part of the 1949 Geneva Convention. Vietnam, on the other hand, is part of the 1968 Vienna Convention. And our countries, Australia, Canada, and all the other ones I listed, haven't ratified the 1968 Vienna Convention. So what that means is when you get an international driving permit, or IDP for short, in Australia, you aren't getting a license that's recognized by countries such as Vietnam. Until my speedometer hits 30 kilometers an hour, like it is now, I can't filter. Surely this truck's gonna give me a little bit of room. Just a crumb of room, please, sir. Thank you. Oh wow, just because peak hour traffic clearly wasn't enough, it's now spitting. I may sound like I'm complaining, but I'm really not. I get to ride my motorcycle, and when I'm in the saddle, there's usually not a whole lot to complain about because of how goddamn fantastic riding a motorcycle is. So that's it. If you have an Australian riding license, even if you go get yourself an international driving permit, you cannot legally ride over in Vietnam, which means you won't be covered by your travel insurance if anything goes wrong. And if something goes wrong, say you get into an accident and you're not technically at fault, you're going to be held accountable anyway because you are illegally riding. If you, head over to Vietnam and end up running a pregnant woman off the road, you are in charge of their medical bills and the legal repercussions to the fullest extent as an unlicensed rider. Ah, look at that guy. I'll give him a nod. Thank you, mate. And I love it. Filtering in traffic like this gives people the opportunity to be great people, like that Mazda over there. And it's, oh, look at this, he's moving too. How nice. It's just like, goddamn. Faith in humanity slightly restored, right? Like, these people are just getting out the way to, probably equal parts ensure your safety and the safety of their wing mirror, but it's still nice. Because you know that in places like America, you get people moving in the opposite direction and attempting to cut you off. Look at that Skoda. Moved out of the way for me. Thank you. Now, we don't want that. We don't want something to go wrong and end up with massive medical bills and or serious legal repercussions. So what then are the workarounds? Well, there are two. Neither option is particularly fantastic, but they do exist. The first one is hop on something 50 cc's or under. In Vietnam, you do not need a license to ride anything 50 cc or under. You just have to be over the age of 16. So if you hop on one of those while you're over there, you are still within the appropriate legal avenues, and you are adhering to Vietnamese rules and regulations. The problem with 50cc scooters is, even in Vietnam, they're considered underpowered, and you will be very hard pressed to find a rental company that actually rents them out because they're just too small. And you know it's too small when even the Vietnamese think it's too small. It would be okay to get around town in, maybe, potentially, but beyond the limits of that, you do not want to be on a 50cc, especially when you're hitting major arterial roads that are connecting towns, or if you're in the Hajang Loop. But 50cc's is legal. Given the lack of choices, it may be your best one. Thread the needle, hey. Thanks, mate. Your second option is to become a permanent resident in Vietnam for 3 months, after which you can apply for your Vietnamese riding license and go get a Vietnamese motorbike license, which will entitle you to legally ride anything with 2 wheels over there. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Give them a little wave or a nod, just some token of appreciation, so that you're reinforcing good behavior and spreading positive vibes in general. I'm always grateful when people go out of their way for me, both literally and metaphorically. Yeah, okay, maybe filtering a little bit fast, but it's still quite safe. And that guy moved out the way. Thank you, mate. Thank you. So neither of these options are really that fantastic, let's be honest. So I did what most people do when they head over to Vietnam and ride a scooter or a motorcycle. I went unlicensed, but that's just the way most people do it. And the thing is, like, I was so worried about police stopping me and stuff. Obviously my biggest issue was that I wouldn't have been covered by insurance, and if something went wrong, then I was legally screwed. But one thing you kind of don't have to worry about, which I realized when I got over there, is the police. They're so corrupt, pretty much. All you have to do is produce a bribe, and if you go with a tour group, they typically just do not bother you. I even had a chat with one individual who I met over there, and she was saying she got pulled over and she stopped, but as soon as the cop came up to her bike, she just took off. And they didn't chase her because at the end of the day, like, they're kind of just in it to get bribe money, so they'll move on to the next one, and it's not really worth the effort of chasing a tourist down. Yes, riding unlicensed is stupid, but it's kind of the only way to do it over there. And it was all smooth sailing. We did have one friend who went a bit later, solo, and went with the same tour group, but he ended up crashing and wrecking his teeth, which is, yeah, absolutely horrible. I feel bad for him, but he went to hospital. He got his teeth fixed, obviously with no insurance. It was just something ridiculous. I think it was $50 to get like proper caps to fix his teeth. But there you go guys. So you pretty much can't ride legally over there unless you're willing to go to the exceptional length of becoming a Vietnamese permanent resident, or are willing to ride a 50cc scooter, which is just super impractical if you're going more than 200 meters from your house. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and learnt something fun, fresh and informative. And I encourage you all to go book a trip to Vietnam and ride scooters around Ha Giang with your boys. It's one of the coolest things you can do, and I'm definitely going to go back there again someday. Anyway, stay tuned, because, you know, after my dinner with Nicholas, during which we reminisced about our time on scooters and motorcycles over in Vietnam, I've become inspired to start the gargantuan process of sifting through hours and hours of footage and editing it all. If you guys want to see that, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will catch you on the next one. We got a... Shit. See, that is how you're not supposed to filter.
You say you got them guns, but I've never seen you bang. You say you got them drugs, but I've never seen you